Hello everybody, welcome to Realistic Realtors with Superior Coaching School. I'm Nick, this is Bill, and we're all about keeping it real. We want to provide action steps, right? The steps to build your business right now. This is volume 5 in our success planning, and today we're talking about buyer objections.
And guys, we have to remember, an objection is not a rejection. It's simply a request for more information. It's how you approach when you talk to a potential client, when you talk to a potential buyer. And it's really important when, say, the first call and you get a buyer on the phone and they're like, hey, listen, I'm a couple years out from purchasing a house. So that's okay. You know, I work with buyers all the time that are a year or two out. Why don't we just have a conversation of what's a perfect house for you? Because that's important for me to know. And it's okay, you're a couple years out. Let's go out sometime and look at some houses and have some fun. This way you can educate me on what type of house you want. So right away you're offering a free service and you remind them that they don't pay you. When they buy a house, the seller pays you. So you get all my advice and time for free.
So in essence, are you basically saying that when someone is asking or inquiring about a home and then you go back and say, oh yeah, I can help you out, and they give you a little bit of pushback saying maybe they're not interested, the first step should always be, well, you're offering something free and service of value to them, right? Understanding the value proposition. How do you get that point across when they kind of push back saying they're not too serious?
Well, I just try to tell them, comfort them first off. I think the money approach, a lot of buyers don't realize that they don't have to pay us, right? I just mentioned the seller pays us. Offer some value of free time. Let's go out and look at some houses. I tell you what, tell me about your perfect house. Tell me about the town that you really like. Let me send you some houses. And listen, it's not wasting my time. I love what I do. So let's meet this Saturday if it works for you. Send me a few houses. Let's look at it. I don't care if you just signed a lease and you're not ready to buy for another year. It's about making that connection. Don't worry about that objection. You just want to, get more information at that potential client and show them a free value.
Now, is the response different based on how they, the certain lead communicates with you? So if it's over a phone call, how much do you push back, I guess is what I'm saying?
Knowing me until they tell me they're just not interested. There would be no interest there if they're looking already, so there's interest. And I'll take it a step further. A lot of them don't know what they can afford. So I say, listen, before we go out and look, if you want, I have a great lender. You'd be surprised what you can afford, and they will tell you what the payment will be. They'll break down what the monthly payment is, what the HOA fee is, what the taxes are, and insurance. So you will know bundled up. There's no hidden cost. You'll know your exact payment. And a lot of times, it's the same price of what you're renting at. So I don't give up on it. I keep pushing back. Where is it a money issue with them? They're afraid what the payment's going to be. Educate them about, maybe a new buyer program when it's only 3% down. It's usually, Nick, the money issue. How much money do I have to put down? How much is that payment going to be? So if we can get over that, then they're pretty much ready to look at any house.
Well, Bill, you know what it sounds like to me? You know what it sounds like you're doing right there? You're educating, right? And I think in terms of mindset, we have to remember that one of the most important jobs that we serve as realtors is we have to be the educators. We have to let our clients know what they don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And 90% of the time when you have problems arise in real estate or questions or objections, as we pointed out with that great quote, it's really not so much that the lead or the potential client isn't interested, because they are, right? There's a reason why they started looking in the first place. They just don't know the process. So how do you basically combat that when someone says, we're just starting to look, we don't really know what's going on? How do you get them to start moving further down that process?
Well, that's perfect. I'm so glad you just put that question back to me, because as a buyer and a new buyer, you need a realtor, professional realtor, that knows the market, that can lead you down the right path in the process to successfully purchase a home. So let's look at it, Nick. First, I kind of get to know them. I build some kind of relationship with them, some kind of commonality on that phone call, okay? Then after that, I decipher, is it a money issue? If it is a money issue, I want to reassure them that I have a plan for them on getting them approved to get a house, or I have a plan for them with a little amount as money down to buy a house. And then once I reassure them about those two steps, let's have fun. Let's go look at some houses, right?
So you're giving them options. You're letting them know that they're not boxed into one choice, right?
Absolutely. And one of the things I want to point out is a lot of people are renting. They think that if we look at a house tomorrow, we put an offer in, I have to be out of my lease. It's not true. Let's face it. The first thing I'll say is, okay, you're in a lease? How much longer? If they say 6 months, I'll say, wow, well, we better start looking now. And they're surprised. I was like, well, listen, it will take 2 to 3 months to find a perfect house. And we get in contract, we'll close 60 days later. So that only leaves you about 3 to 4 weeks to move. So 6 months out is the perfect time. A lot of times they don't realize that. They think they need to start looking like a month left, a month 11 in their lease.
Yeah, now you bring up something I think that's very important. And so let's talk, guys, about you finally have, you've been going through the search process and you finally find that one, right?
Yeah.
And now you've made it to a point, okay, you've looked at a lot of homes, you've been that tour guide, another job in our toolkit, right? That we're educating, we've now shown them some property. Now they finally found that one property. How do we close, right?
Yes, Nick, great point. So I hear a lot of times, like, I'll look at them and say, hey, we just found you the perfect house. You really like this house, and you just told me you want to sleep on it. I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't sleep on it. And, the slide you guys are looking at, right? The house that you looked at today and wanted to think about it tomorrow may be the same house that someone else looked at yesterday and is ready to buy it today. That's what we have to remember, okay? And when I say that, they're a little more motivated.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll call me back after dinner. They're not going to sleep on it. Because I just tell them, guys, this is the perfect house. We looked at a bunch of houses. You want to sleep on it? Maybe we put an offer in. Because someone could have said the exact same thing to the realtor in this house yesterday.
And one thing that I always bring up as well is, well, look at this, guys. We've been looking for homes for 6 months, a year.
Yeah.
If it took you this long to finally find the one, and you're going to risk losing it, are you willing to spend another 6 months or a year waiting on that next perfect house, right? And so when you finally get to that point, you got to let them know that this is what that preparation was for,
Sure.
right? Going through the steps of getting pre-approved with your lender, pre-qualified, or going through the steps of crossing off different homes that, this didn't fit my list, or going to look at homes and seeing them in person on a showing and realizing this isn't for me. You didn't go through all of those steps for nothing. You got to let them know that if it's now time to pull the trigger, that's what they've been preparing for this entire time.
Right. So you're just building confidence in your buyer. You're saying, listen, we just spent the last 6 months looking at 24 homes. You're an educated buyer now, okay? You've done the homework. This isn't our first rodeo. If this is the perfect house, don't get cold feet now. Move forward. Don't lose this house. Otherwise, we lose this house, could be another 6 months and another 25 houses we look at, and the interest rates also could pop up a 0.5% or a percent, and you might now be able to afford the house anymore.
So actually, I'm glad that you brought that point up. The longer you wait, the more expensive it can actually be for you to buy, right? So
Yep.
Let's say you own a home, right?
Yep.
And so now the objection would be, well, Bill, we really like this house, but we have to sell our home first, right?
Yep.
And I don't know if we're ready quite yet. How many times have you been in that situation where someone is hesitant to getting their house ready to sell, and they're probably paying more mortgage payments as they go, waiting and waiting and waiting to make an offer or to jump on a home, right?
So I just got that yesterday. Showed a house yesterday. And the person's like, I really like this house, but I have a house to sell. I was like, well, the first thing we need to do is you need to talk to my lender, and let's see if you can qualify for both. Well, Bill, I don't want to have 2 mortgages at once. Well, hold on. What I say, first thing, let's see if you can qualify to purchase both houses. A lot of times they can. We get through that first hurdle. Then the second thing is, let's make an offer on this house and push closing out 90 days. It's a long way to push it out, but let's push out 90 days. because Bob, I think we can sell your house in the next 30 or 60 days. We'll tie up this house, the one you love. We'll list your house right away, and it'll be a smooth transition. So that's one way I handle that objection when they have a house to sell. Now, the other thing, if they do have a house to sell, okay, and they don't want to miss this house, or they didn't find a house, well, are you willing to move to a short-term rental? Okay, and that's usually the hardest objection. They're like, I have a house to sell, and it will sell quick, but I want to sell before the school year starts, or I might hold on to it for another year. They have to be willing to go into short-term rental. So I always educate myself on a short-term rental program in the area. So I say, listen, let's list your house, and I will negotiate a longer close for you, okay? So we can go find that other house and see if we can get closed before your house closes.
So essentially, there's always something that you can do to massage the deal and to work the situation, right? There's no one set answer, I guess, is what really I take away from that, is that, look, it's we'll get it done no matter how it gets done, right? And at the end of the day, you have to let your buyers know that, look, again, they're pushing back, they're objecting because they don't know that there's other options out there, right? They don't know that you have a solution.
Solution. I was just going to say it. You said it. Solution. They look for us to be their solution person. Okay, they need that. That's what, guys, we're professional realtors. This is what we do.
We're matchmakers.
Right? Yeah. So if we provide them with solutions, they can see through the forest and get into their next home. But if we don't provide the solutions with, let's talk to a lender, let's go out there, look for a house, let's compare renting to purchasing. You'll see there's not a big difference. Let's talk to the benefits about ownership instead of renting.
Yeah.
Right? So we always have to figure out a solution because every client is different, Nick, right? Not everyone comes in and says, I'm in a rental, I'm month by month, I have cash.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't happen that often.
And so, yeah, we really just need to realize that we have to educate, right?
Yep.
Okay? We have to provide in advance a solution. That's the key. Yep. If there's educate them on, so they're pushing a pain point to you. They're objecting because they don't know something. So educate them. But then give them the solution, because that's the second half to it. And if you don't give them that solution and you're not prepared, then you're going to end up maybe losing out on that buyer. So that really comes back to us as agents. How important is it to be prepared and to role play? You know, work with a partner with someone out there. Maybe it's your accountability partner, and say, you know what, I think I need a little bit more practice on how do you handle this objection. Ask each other. I think it's so important. Ask, like as you mentioned, a lot of times you want to ask somebody who's done it longer, someone you look up to, who's handled a lot of those objections. And we have a special guest this week who's handled hundreds of objections, every single one out there in the book.
Yep.
He probably has written the book on buyer objections. And so we have John Green, who has been primarily buyer specialist all his career.
Yeah.
And so if anybody knows buyer objections, he does.
Yeah, John's really good. So he's going to walk you guys through the practice. He all the steps. He's going to basically tell you that you have to show value when you meet that buyer. Take the time to show them houses. Take the time to educate that buyer on the market so they feel comfortable that they're making the decision, not you. Introduce them to that lender. And John is without a doubt expert in buyer agency. So we welcome for you guys to come and listen to us interview John. It's a great lesson that you all enjoy. So we look forward to seeing you guys next week.